One really fascinating thing that I've learned about myself is that oddly enough, I'm actually able to debate most things like without getting super triggered. Um, so I I shared some posts, and especially specifically on Facebook, which, you know, my old real Facebook, I cleaned it up and privated a lot of stuff on there because I'd had that for so many years, and there was all kinds of crazy pics from young, dumb partying days and stuff. And there's a lot of gems over there, really, that I occasionally share, here on IG. Little peeks of the past. Me and the girlies and whatnot. But anyway, my newer Facebook that I created later on was meant to be more streamlined for the purpose of like promoting, music. Or I think when I first made it, it's because I had the vintage store. That's when I first had the Etsy, and I was doing all the listings and selling all the vintage stuff. That's like when I first really started doing that, which really I ended up doing a lot more private sales with that in the end than actually using Etsy. More like word of mouth, interestingly. I still have tons of vintage stuff and I do still resell things. Anyway, that's kind of how it started, because some of my first pictures over there were from the photo shoot that I did when I was like kind of putting up my site and, making those listings and selling those items, because I was really trying to do something that I loved for a job. And I loved vintage clothes because I had always worn them, bought them for shows and stuff. Oh my goodness, like all of a sudden I have to like clear my throat. So I guess what I'm getting at is, so the purpose of the newer Facebook was meant to be my like real name, who I really am, or business wise, like to use Facebook like a lot of people use it now, which is like to promote a thing. Well, because my old Facebook had like closer to like 2,000 followers, and it was friends from through the years and stuff, and everyone who had, seen all the other crazy posts throughout all the years. Nothing bad, just me being, my rad self, and partying with my friends. No shame in it. I just wanted to separate it for the sake of trying to like be professional for putting stuff out there. My point is, the newer Facebook became kind of more like my real Facebook. And it's where I more regularly post. It's the one that I now have connected to, this page, because this is like my main Instagram, right? And that's like now kind of like my main Facebook. And then I've made a bunch of different TikToks. I do not care what people say. I will never regret doing it, because making a bunch of different TikToks and trying a bunch of different things, even my brief stint with cooking. Forget about that. Oh my God. Me trying to film my cooking. Let's just say I almost, pan fried my iPhone. Now there's a lot more tools you can use. Like now I have like the POV camera. Oh, I look back with so much love and care for all the things that I've tried to launch or start over the years. Anyway, so a lot of the people that I gained as followers or friends on that newer Facebook, it was more from a professional lens, so they're going to believe whatever they believe. And when I was starting to release music, after, recording the EP for the band and for my solo, back in 2020 is when it started. My first single I recorded in 2019 for my solo, 2019. And then I didn't release that one till a little bit later, the PTSD song, and that one's more rock. Really, I should have released that one under the name Rachel Rock Savage. I still think that, because all the other stuff, the Clear H stuff was created to be separate from just the rock thing, but PTSD is so rock. But when I hooked up with Justine to, she produced that track, Justine Blazer, very talented, go follow her. I introduced myself as Rachel Rock Savage, so it was interesting because it was like Justine Blazer, Rachel Rock Savage, yeah. And we made a great track. I've had a lot of people say, even if that song's not their cup of tea, they have to admit that PTSD is catchy. It's unique concept, and like I sang the hell out of it. It wasn't like an overly produced type thing. It was well produced, but I mean, that's really my song, and that's really how I wrote it, and you know, we just beefed it up, and that's really how I sang it, you know. Anyway, proud of it. It's a beautiful time capsule. But then 2020, you know, the crazy pandemic hit, but we had started recording my EP, my solo. That was like the plan, but like the world fell apart, obviously. And there was too much pressure. There was too much going on, and everyone was all separated, because originally my EP was supposed to have this big team. Then I didn't have a team, so I became the team. So I just kind of worked with one person, and then on some things with another person. Even, you know, Bestie Luke helped out with some stuff, which I really appreciated, because I was so overwhelmed. I was wearing 18,000 different hats, and I was doing the podcast back then, which, you know, thank you to people that still tell me how much they loved it. I don't know if you can still go listen or not. I almost feel like I should go listen back. Like, what all did I say? I don't even know. But I was just telling all about my life. But it was about passed on musicians, like musicians that had died young, and talking about that. But the girl that I was doing it with, she was like front lines in the pandemic. She was in medical field. So, I mean, she was pulled away from the podcast. It couldn't be helped. And I just didn't feel right carrying it on without her. But let me just say, doing the work of editing a podcast, especially at that time, me having zero like audio experience, everything I clicked, I had to like Google, what did I accidentally do? What did I click? Oh my God. We would record like 3 hours, and then I would try to cut it down to like 1. Anyway, good times. But, so there was all these different, you know, things that I kept launching and doing, and I started doing spiritual stuff, tarot stuff. I had my big like awakening, which is a real thing. It really happened to me. I don't know what else to call it, but it's what happened. And I woke up. And if you haven't experienced that, I don't expect you to understand, and I'm not going to put you down for not understanding, because you literally just won't. But if you've had one and you know what that feeling is, everything changes from that moment forward. So I had the big awakening in between like 2020, 2021, this big change happened internally, and I just became like obsessed with tarot. And I'd done tarot for years and loved it, and I had already been shifting towards a different focus in my life, I guess you could say, because like all of a sudden there I was like with the studio right there, and I'm, you know, in it every day and working on songs, helping with other people's songs, and, you know, helping with other artists and stuff, and then, you know, and working on my stuff and the band stuff, and I'm doing this thing that I always had dreamed of. But it's like, first off, per my video I released recently, I will talk more about that era of my life when I feel ready to. Right now, it's more like I just want to spread awareness of the fact that vulnerable people get sucked into things and they don't know what they're getting sucked into. But I also have to say that it was also a really tough time in the world, and a lot of people did the best that they could. But I still felt like I was taken advantage of, but also there were things that happened that, regardless of what's going on in the world, should not have happened. They were just inappropriate things that were really like traumatizing for me. But once again, I'll share more about that later. And I really want to be careful how I talk about that stuff, because I'm not trying to deter people from chasing their dreams. Like, I want people to make their art. I want you to put yourself out there. And I know tons of people that, like, they just, you know, pick up a guitar one day and then they end up on tour. I mean, that's awesome. Or people that go to one audition and end up in the movies. Like, it happens, y'all. It does. And when you hear all these stories, people like Britney Spears, Amanda Bynes, you know, the Diddy stuff, you think that stuff is so rare, like what happened to Kesha. Lady Gaga has spoke out about some stuff. It's not, though. That's the thing. And it's not just women. It just happens to be disproportionately. There's a lot of power with certain men. And so women end up being victims a lot. But there's also young men. Hence, you know, people talk about maybe what's going on with Justin Bieber is that, you know, I don't know any of these people, okay? But I'm just giving you guys a reference, like, so you can think about what kind of stuff I might be talking about. Because there's different levels of it. Sometimes people will I've had people hold on to pictures of mine. I can't even hardly talk about that because it's so upsetting. Pictures of me, videos of me for promotion and stuff like that. People that I paid or I was ready to pay or willing to pay that, you know, that I was working with, but there was emotional manipulation happening. You know, people trying to control me, holding on to like my tracks and having that power over me. It's awful. It's awful what I had to suffer through in order to like leave with my work like intact the best that I could. But there's videos, there's pictures, there are songs that I helped work on and collaborate on. There's a song I helped write with somebody else completely different that like literally used the title I came up with and everything, and like no credits. Like, anyway, like, and people don't have conscious about it. Like, for me, if I feel like I've borrowed or used something from someone, I'm first to be like, please tell me, I will tag you. Like, if someone takes a photo of me, I will tag you. Some people maybe don't want to be tagged, but I try to tag everybody. If I ever share anything and you feel like I should tag you, dear God, please tell me, because I will have done it if I didn't already. I used to tag everyone in every single picture, and then some people started being like, don't tag me in every single picture because I maybe don't like every single picture. So if I ever don't tag you in something, then that's why. And sometimes when certain posts will end up being up and then taken down, either I didn't like something that was shown in the like there was that one picture, I mentioned it on my story before, I don't know if anyone remembers this. It was like my address or something. was like in the background on like a piece of mail, and I was like, like, oh shit. Like, moments like that happen. So it's not always a huge conspiracy when like probably like a big star that you know of will post something and take it down. Maybe sometimes because they talked about something sensitive, they don't want to, you know, there's reasons why people take stuff down, but there's also reasons like that, because I literally, it was like my whole ass literal physical current address was accidentally shared. Anybody could have screenshotted it, could have taken a video. I was like, oh shit. It actually made me scared for a little while. I don't live there now, but if anyone remembers that, say something, because that was a fucking weird situation. It had me all freaked out, especially because I've dealt with some weirdos in my life. The last couple years of my life have been so insane, and the early years were already kind of insane. And it's like, I used to look at it like, oh, well, it's just this fascinating story. But it's like, damn, dude, I don't even have to exaggerate. And I'm a naturally storyteller person. Like, I could be hyperbolous if I wanted to. I could fluff everything up if I wanted to. Bitch, I don't even have to. I don't even have to. Some of the shit that I went through, like getting sexually harassed by my old maintenance man at my old apartment who was like trying to come into my house and texting me weird stuff. And I tried to tell the people, and the people were like, well, he said you're just trying to get extra help from maintenance. And I'm like, what the hell? You don't know me at all. You don't know me at all. Because he was like significantly older. And the only reason I had his number was because he gave it to me, because he said, if, you know, we're coming back to fix this thing. So call me if, you know, something's wrong. I didn't know that that's not the protocol. That's just what he did. Dude kept coming in. He was trying to come in my house when I had my robe on and sit there, talk to me, get all close. I ended up, I had no air conditioning for almost the majority of the summer of 2022. I had mold. I had plumbing issues. I had scary spiders, and I had, the air was out for months. And when it would rain heavy, my bathtub would fill up and try to like flood my whole house, and I'd have to like scoop it into the toilet and like, it was so scary. Okay, anyway, so yeah, I ended up having to call the people that owned those apartments, like the main like I had to find the owner of the head of the whole thing. And I remember bawling on the phone and being like, this freaking creep won't leave me alone and they won't fix my air. I should have sued them, dude. I so should have sued them, because at the same time, I was getting death threats from this crazy chick. I was a manager at a clothing store, and I was forced to leave a job that I actually loved. I worked at a place for like a month or two and became a manager because I just loved it so much. And it seemed like a random place to work, but I really loved that store like growing up. So I was excited to work there because I had to have some kind of job, because, everything was happening in the world with pandemic. I worked at Starbucks, which I actually made some great friends there during that time. Some that I still talk to. And, it was the East Nashville Starbucks too. So it was like the hipster crew. I kind of felt special that I got to be a part of that. But they just started seeing less and less of me because I got promoted at my other job, because I had 2 jobs. But there was a girl that just was nuts, and she like pushed one of the other managers, and I physically witnessed it and was like, hey, quit it. Like I had to separate them. And basically I was like, you go that way. And they both gave their version. I had no choice. One of them hit the other one or pushed the other one. One of them did not. I had to tell what I saw, or I felt like I had to. By telling what I saw, that girl that got fired, because you should, if you go and go crazy and shove a manager, I don't care what you're mad about, like just quit then. Like I don't understand the physical violence part. Anyway, that girl started messaging me because we had each other's numbers for shifts and stuff. She started messaging me saying that if I showed back up, that her and all her friends were going to kick my ass. They were going to kill me. They were going to beat me up. They were going to do this and that to me. And it was horrific. And I was living with like no heat and all this kind of stuff. And anyway, so I ended up going to another job. Then I got COVID finally, and it was like the long COVID. So like learning this new job while suffering through COVID. Then I had no heat. That's when I had no AC, was around that time. It broke around the summer because I started that job around the spring, summer. I was back in school for music and I loved it, but I also felt like it was kind of tough being one of the only girls there, for reasons. That's a topic for another day. It's kind of like, I wanted to learn more. I wanted to help. I'd be excited. And I just was looked at as an ass. Like a big ass. Like, I'm sorry, but like, it didn't matter how much serious work in the music industry I had done, or like what talents I had. It was like, that's what was focused on, was like my body, and people just assumed I was dumb. That's fine. You could assume whatever you want. You assume whatever you want. It only benefits me if you assume I'm dumber than I am. And I never, claimed to be a genius. I was never a music theory person to begin with. But anyway, back to modern day, I started standing up and speaking out about the stuff going on in the world. And I don't have a problem debating with people. I don't get triggered. I don't get mad. I want to hear people's opinions, and I'm going to give mine too. And I'm going to do everything I can to stay calm. But I feel like that's the way forward, is to talk to people about this kind of stuff. But also, at a certain point, some shit just has to be stopped.